Lucas, a young man, lived in a small village in the countryside. He was going through a difficult time after the death of his father, who had always been his greatest support. The sadness consumed him, and he felt completely lost and alone. His days were filled with a sense of emptiness, and he could barely find comfort in the things that once brought him joy. One day, while aimlessly walking through the forest near the village, Lucas heard a faint, desperate sound. Following the noise, he found a puppy trapped in a snare. The animal, visibly injured and scared, looked at Lucas with pleading eyes. Without hesitation, Lucas freed the puppy from the trap and took it home, feeling an immediate connection with the little animal. At home, Lucas treated the puppy's wounds, fed it, and offered a warm place to rest. He decided to name the puppy Max, in honor of his father, who always loved dogs. As days passed, Max began to recover and showed a gratitude and loyalty that deeply touched Lucas's heart. The young man felt that in some way caring for Max was helping to heal his own pain. Despite the new joy Max brought to his life, Lucas still faced great challenges. He was unemployed and needed to find a way to support his mother, who was weakened by illness. Every day, Lucas went out looking for work, submitting resumes and asking for any opportunity. However, job offers were scarce, and he often returned home discouraged. Max, always by his side, seemed to understand his frustration and offered silent comfort with his faithful presence. One day, while walking through the village with Max, Lucas found a job advertisement on the Central Square's notice board. It was a temporary position working on a nearby farm. Excited about the possibility, he decided to apply immediately. Upon arriving at the farm, he was greeted by Mrs. Clara, a kind woman who urgently needed help with the harvest. Lucas accepted the job and started working the next day, bringing Max with him. The work on the farm was arduous and required a lot of physical effort. Under the scorching sun, Lucas spent hours picking fruits and vegetables, with hardly any time to rest. Despite the exhaustion, he was grateful to have found an opportunity. Max, always by his side, ran through the fields and brought small gifts like flowers and stones, trying to cheer Lucas up during the long workdays. The dog's loyalty and energy were a relief on difficult days. However, the challenges did not stop there. One day, while working on the farm, Lucas received an urgent call from his younger sister, Julia. She informed him that their mother's health had drastically worsened, and that she needed to be taken to the hospital immediately. Desperate, Lucas left work and rushed home with Max following closely. When he arrived, he found his mother very weak and nearly unconscious. With Julia's help, he managed to get her to the hospital in time. But before we continue, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you love animals and their fascinating stories. At the hospital, the doctors said that his mother's condition was critical and that she would need constant care. Lucas found himself in a dilemma. He needed to keep working to support the family but also needed to be by his mother's side. It was then that Mrs. Clara, upon learning of the situation, offered him more flexible working hours and even helped financially with the medical expenses. Her generosity was a surprise and an immense relief for Lucas, who was moved by the unexpected support. The following days were a mixture of hope and despair. Lucas divided his time between the hospital and the farm, always accompanied by Max, who had become a constant and comforting presence. At the hospital, he met other families who were also going through tough times. A small support network formed among them, where they shared stories, concerns, and offered comfort to one another. This human connection brought a bit of light to Lucas's dark days. Despite the extreme fatigue, Lucas continued to work on the farm, where Mrs. Clara and other workers supported him in various ways. One of them, João, an older man who also faced financial difficulties, became a great friend. They helped each other, sharing advice and encouraging one another to keep fighting. Max, always by Lucas's side, seemed to understand the importance of these new friendships and behaved like a true companion to everyone on the farm. Lucas's mother's condition fluctuated between moments of improvement and worrying relapses. Each visit to the hospital was a mix of anxiety and relief, depending on her health that day. During one of these visits, Lucas met a young doctor named Dr. Enrique, who showed a genuine interest in helping the family. Dr. Enrique, learning about Lucas's financial struggles, offered free treatment and became a crucial figure in Lucas's mother's recovery. This unexpected gesture rekindled hope in Lucas's heart. One evening, after an exhausting day at the farm, Lucas returned to the hospital and found his mother in better condition, smiling for the first time in weeks. The momentary happiness was an immense reward for all his efforts. However, the peace was short-lived as soon after a severe storm hit the village, causing floods and destruction. Lucas's house was one of the affected, leaving the family without a safe home. The community, moved by their plight, mobilized to help, offering temporary shelter and donations. The solidarity of the people around them was a relief, but also a reminder of life's constant trials. With their house destroyed by the flood, Lucas and his family temporarily moved to Mrs. Clara's house, who offered shelter without hesitation. Her generosity and the community's solidarity renewed Lucas's hopes, who, despite his exhaustion, felt grateful for the support he was receiving. Max, always by his side, seemed to understand the gravity of the situation and remained quiet and attentive, bringing comfort amid the chaos. However, financial difficulties continued to haunt Lucas. Mrs. Clara's farm also suffered damage due to the storm, resulting in less work and consequently less income for all the employees. Lucas was worried about the future as his mother's medical expenses continued to rise. It was then that João, Lucas's co-worker, suggested they look for temporary work in a nearby town, where there was an urgent demand for reconstruction after the storm. Determined to do whatever it took to support his family, Lucas agreed to João's proposal. Together, they traveled to the neighboring town and found work as helpers in the reconstruction of houses and roads. The work was heavy and exhausting, but Lucas gave it his all, motivated by the need to ensure his mother's well-being and his family's future. Max, as faithful as ever, accompanied Lucas on the journey, earning the sympathy of their new co-workers and becoming a source of joy for everyone. Despite the fatigue, Lucas did not let himself be discouraged. Max's constant presence and João's support gave him the strength to keep going. Amid the difficulties, he still found moments of hope and joy, such as when he received news that his mother was recovering well thanks to Dr. Enrique's dedicated care. Each small victory was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there was light and hope. Lucas's resilience and determination began to inspire those around him, creating an environment of solidarity and cooperation. While working on the reconstruction in the neighboring town, Lucas couldn't help but feel a pang of homesickness and worry for his mother. Max, always attentive to Lucas's emotions, stayed close, often resting his head on Lucas's lap during rare moments of rest. Max's loyalty and constant presence were a great comfort to Lucas, who felt he was not alone in his daily struggle. One day, while Lucas and João were working on a damaged house, Max began barking insistently at a pile of rubble. Initially, Lucas thought Max was just playing, but the dog's persistent barking caught everyone's attention. Upon investigating, Lucas and João discovered a family trapped under the debris. Thanks to Max's intervention, they were able to rescue everyone safely, and Lucas realized that his faithful friend had once again proven his worth and courage. This incident brought a new wave of gratitude and admiration for Max among the workers. Max became a symbol of hope and resilience, and his story began to spread through the town. Lucas, feeling proud of his companion, found new motivation to continue working and helping those in difficult situations. He began to see that even amid suffering, acts of kindness and courage could make a significant difference. As the reconstruction progressed, Lucas and João were approached by a local reporter who wanted to tell Max's story and how he had saved the family trapped in the rubble. The story was published in the town's newspaper, bringing a bit of light and joy to everyone. Lucas received numerous messages of support and gratitude from people touched by Max's story. This made him realize that despite the difficulties, he and Max were making a difference in people's lives, just as the community had done for them in their time of need. The recognition of Max's bravery brought a wave of optimism to Lucas. The townspeople began to see him and Max as symbols of hope and perseverance. Lucas began to be called upon to help with various other tasks around town, always bringing Max with him. The dog became a constant and comforting presence for everyone, especially those who had lost much in the storm. Meanwhile, Lucas's mother's health continued to improve thanks to Dr. Enrique. He and Julia made regular visits, and her recovery was a constant source of motivation for Lucas. The news of her improvement filled Lucas's heart with joy, and gave him the strength to continue facing daily challenges. Max, always by Lucas's side, seemed to understand every word of encouragement and every gesture of affection his mother sent back to him. However, Lucas's financial situation was still a problem. Although the reconstruction work was steady, the money was not enough to cover all the medical expenses and the costs of rebuilding their own home. It was then that João suggested Lucas try entering a local story contest that awarded acts of courage and overcoming adversity. With encouragement from João and other friends, Lucas decided to share the story of his journey with Max, from rescuing the puppy to the challenges faced during the reconstruction. Writing the story was a cathartic process for Lucas. Each word written reminded him of the difficulties, but also of the small victories and moments of deep connection with Max. He submitted the story to the contest with no great expectations but felt relieved to have shared his experience. Days passed without news until one day, Lucas received a call that would change everything. His story had been selected as one of the contest finalists. The news that his story was a finalist brought new hope to Lucas. The award ceremony would be held in the neighboring town, and he was invited to attend the reading of the finalist stories. With his heart full of anxiety and hope, Lucas donned his best clothes and went accompanied by Max and João. When they arrived at the venue, they were warmly welcomed, and Max, as always, caught everyone's attention with his cheerful and faithful presence. During the ceremony, the finalist stories were read aloud. When it was Lucas's turn, he felt a mix of nervousness and pride. The narrative of his struggle, the connection with Max, and the challenges overcome moved the audience. Many shed tears as they listened about the little dog who had become a symbol of hope and courage. At the end of the reading, the auditorium exploded in applause. To Lucas's surprise, he was announced as the contest winner. Besides a cash prize that would help cover his mother's medical expenses and the reconstruction of their home, he also received a job offer from the publishing company that organized the contest. They were impressed with his storytelling ability and wanted him to write more about his experiences and life in the village. Returning home, Lucas felt immense joy. Life still had challenges, but now he had the resources and support needed to face them. The community continued to offer support, and his mother's health improved every day. Max, always by his side, seemed to understand that something wonderful had happened and shared in Lucas's happiness. The family's house was rebuilt with the help of neighbors, and Lucas was able to turn his love for writing into a new career. Time passed and Lucas wrote several books about his adventures with Max, the challenges overcome, and the lessons learned. Each published story was a testament to his resilience and the importance of love and friendship. Max continued to be his faithful companion, and together, they inspired many others never to give up, even in the darkest moments. Lucas and Max's story, marked by challenges and triumphs, became an eternal symbol of hope for all who knew it. Thank you for watching this incredible story of courage and loyalty. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and leave your like so you don't miss any of our exciting stories. See you next time.